And we're live! Actually, I don't really like that intro at the minute. The mood's not quite right. Just for something like that. Mark Downey, the baler, the lapper. With the comment, any chance here? I'm already here, Marker. Way aheady. I've put the link in the chat if you want to. I'm already here, Marker. Oh. Rewind. Put the link in the chat. You hit the link, you'll come into the studio, and then you can have a chat with the Broodster. Me. Bradley. So I'm going to fire the link in again, even though it's already there. We'll fire it in again because YouTube can be very silly with these sort of things. Like example, just for there, some strangeness just happened. Just let me know. Send me a wee message or let me know if the if everything's all good. Yeah, so I'm just getting a bit of first-hand info. Not say. Actually, no, I'm not going to say anymore. That's it. Let's chat, folks. We'll give it a little bit of time, and then we'll start the chat. We'll see if anyone wants to come in and join in. Mark, if you're here, let me know. Is everything sounding good? And is everything looking all right? Because I don't want this to be folks, just gonna let people join in. So we can have a big chat. So, if you're here, guys and gals, let me know. Just doing a bit of admin here. We weren't really planning, obviously, on doing a show like this, but with everything that's going on, it's a bit off the cuff. But I think we have something rather interesting to say, possibly, hopefully. But I'll let some more people get in. If you're here, drop a comment. Check out the. Hold on, I need to post that in again. Check out the link I've posted there. That'll bring you into the studio, and then I can bring you on if you want to have a chat. If you got something to say, I've plenty to say myself, but hit the link in the thing in the chat. Hit the link if you want to come on, have a chat. Amit, the link's there. Come on, have a chat. You think we need a new centre back? we can talk about that if you want. Yeah, no problem. I think this is probably a wee bit more, looking at the events of today. But if you want to have a chat about the getting a new centre back, we'd certainly chat about new centre backs. If you want to come on, talk if you if you're trying to be funny there. Oh, oh, the club's burning. There's riots outside, and Ahmed's there going, "Yeah, we need a new centre back." Fair enough. Yeah, Kagler up in Meccano. Yeah, certainly good options. Yep. I have no idea why that's tickled me so much. But yeah, just inside. Oh, that was good. Well done. He's laughing too. Ahmed, come on, hit the link. Come on, join in. Let me know about your opinions on centre backs. And, I know there's been a lot of discussion recently about the length of the grass. It might be a bit too much that the ball's not rolling well. Important issues such as that. But what we'll do is we'll bring the main man, the guy that's been here from day one. He's been on the show before. The show with a top limit of 13 viewers, but this guy should be on national TV showing things off. It's Ahmet. Am I joking? It's the main man, Rich.
How are you, Mike? Evening, not too bad. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's maybe a wee touch low, but what do you think about the centre back situation at Man United, Rich?
It's a massive deal, to be honest. Well, let's give the viewers what they want. With everybody signing a new deal, I don't know if you're going to get one. And so I hope that answers the question.
I don't know why I find that. I can't stop laughing. I was expecting like somebody to come on and swearing and going Glazers out. No, it's just, I think we need a new centre back. Whew. That was good. Whew. Anyway, Rich, what do you think about what happened today? Obviously there's it's a huge thing for fans around the world. Hold on, I have to get this in. It's a huge thing, obviously, for fans all over the Prem. Something, an occasion where the fans can actually have such an effect, where the biggest game, potentially, well, one of the biggest games, biggest derby in the entire world, can be stopped in its tracks immediately by just hardcore fans that really need their voice to be spoken. What's your opinion as a Crystal Palace fan?
I think personally today was a momentous occasion in football. I don't condone the criminal damage aspect of it, and obviously I believe there's reports coming out about a police officer being slashed and stuff. So stuff like that, no. However, to have the biggest game, in my opinion, in English football get called off, that's huge. That is a massive statement of intent. And to think about it, let's assume there's about 10 million United fans in the UK, as an assumption. But globally, there's probably billions already and waiting to tune in. Game gets called off. It's a huge deal. and I know the owners are probably fuming because of the financial side to it. Yes, it's going to get rescheduled, but it might get rescheduled to another day, which is not convenient for everyone to tune in. Sunday afternoon at 4:30 p.m, primetime TV, everyone's going to be tuning in. So it's going to take a financial hit, and then there's also going to be other implications. Like for example, in America, they pay for advertisement rights. That's going to hit the Glazers, I reckon. The Premier League might throw a little sanction, which will hit the Glazers. So it's a huge deal, I think, personally.
Yeah, see, I've heard this. I've heard people speak about this before, and I don't know what I feel about it because, as much as I want it to have affected them in the pockets, I'm not sure it really has. All the attention that's garnered so far, it's only going to be more. This game will still happen, and all of it. So we're still talking about it now. The reason we're actually even live now is because we're talking about the fact that it was cancelled. And then when you think about it, the game's going to have to be played again. All the talk from now to then is going to be about what happened today, and then building up the next game, and then the next game will happen, and all the views will come in, all the revenue, blah blah blah, will still come in. So, in fact, in the short term, I agree that there'll be a bit of a bit of a financial hit, like literally today, but long term, it's just bringing more eyes, and that's really what they're all hoping for. And the only thing I think is if we can get this to continue, if this can't stop here.
But that's the thing that definitely needs to happen.
Yeah, but I don't agree with the way it's happened now. The danger we have as soon as you start doing something, and I mentioned this live on the stream when I was actually expecting the game to come on. The danger we have is any little thing that happens, the media will twist it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like now, everything now, even now as we speak, things are being changed to where the fans are the bad guys, where the fans that were there today have done something wrong. Now, I don't particularly agree with the ones that got onto the pitch and whatever, but it's a means to an end, and every attempt that has happened in the past to get this message across has failed. It's just fallen flat. Let's hope this one does. But if nothing happens from this day onwards, then it will fall flat on its head.
Yeah.
We'll have another chat.
Honestly, I think the difference with this one is that it's not just one club protesting. There are 5 or 6 other clubs protesting about their owners. And like I jumped on the AFTV stuff after their match, just to kind of have a listen, and they're talking about the United protest. So the message is out there, and they're even thinking, oh, what could that work for Thursday against Villarreal? So I can see the positive side to it. I understand the media's going to twist anything anyway, regardless. Even if there's one person protesting today, they'll find a way of making that protest to look bad. And I think that shouldn't stop fans from continuously voicing their opinions, because I guess for you guys, this hasn't just been a one-off thing just because of the ESL. It's been since they've been in, so that's 15, 16 years. I think rightfully you've had enough. Absolutely had enough. These American owners, they're poisonous, and they really need to go. And like I said, as a Palace fan, and this is why I'm so passionate about it, is this decision on the ESL would have affected us. If the Premier League lessens, it's going to affect us. We need the big clubs. Yes, we need to do ourselves some justice and doing better ourselves and getting up the league and such. But we need these big clubs to keep getting bigger, to keep wanting worldwide views, especially with the big 6. So at least when we're playing them, we're getting views ourselves, and that will generate money for our clubs. But if these owners want to just suck out the money for themselves, no, get rid. Off you go.
Oh, whoops. Just to get. Oh, wait, hold on. There we are. You're back. Yeah, no, 100%. The decisions that these snakes made obviously affected everybody, not even just in the Premier League,
Yeah.
through the whole. It'd just be interesting to see what actually happens with them. But on today, you can already see the twisting and the way that the media and obviously the paid actors are going in on things.
Oh yes.
We see Guy Neville and Jamie Carragher are sticking to their guns. But I wonder how are they are they good cop, and then you've got the bad cops. Like the major one today, and I addressed him a couple of times on my James Cooper. Previously, he seemed to be all right. He seemed to be dead on.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff he was coming off with today from very early, before most like all the news was coming out about certain violent stuff and violent events that happened. So in preparation for this, I went on, just did a quick, because I closed down the Sky Sports the commentary that was going on. Instead of football, they were talking about the events, and I literally just typed in James Cooper quotes, and it turns out there's an American writer in the 1800s called James Cooper, and one of his most famous quotes is, "The tendency of democracies is in all things to mediocrity." And when I seen that, I thought, "Oof, that's a bit deep.
That's heavy.
Yeah." And I thought, James Cooper, that applies so well as to what's going on now. This democracy that we've got going on isn't a true democracy, and all it's leading to is mediocrity. So you've got somebody, there's Spurs there scored their second goal, just as I'm talking about philosophy. But so you've got one James Cooper 200 years ago, coming off with absolute wonder bombs like that, and then you've got current day James Cooper talking on behalf of Sky Sports, a million times more powerful than the old James Cooper could have been, and he's saying things like football is about a game. What was let me look it up here. Actually, I remember I was in stitches laughing about it earlier. He said something so ridiculous, something like football is about two football teams playing against each other, and it's crazy. Let me see if I can find it here while I'm chatting. But on top of that, he said some really, really, what's the word? Insightful things from very early on. Yeah, there's the first comment that made me go, "Oh, what's going on here?" He said, "I'm told today was about fan power and getting a message over to a global audience, but you've got to work out whether this was a progressive move or whether it's just fan power gone crazy."
It's a ridiculous statement.
This was at 4:15. This is 45 minutes after, or no, it's 15 minutes before the game was supposed to kick off. So this was like right at the zenith of this, right at the start,
Yeah.
and he's coming off of things like that. It's almost as if he's prepared. And that was the end of a page long statement, 5 paragraphs long, and that's the very last sentence of it. Very inflammatory. He's looking for a reaction there, and with how everybody's feeling at the minute, especially Man United fans, but not just that, any fan really, to say something like that, I think that's crazy. And that's one thing, if anybody ever watches this and gains something from it, I'd just like to say, make a note of these bad actors, the likes of James Cooper, and remember these things that they're saying. Once the fans have risen up, like we are now, the fans have more power now than they've ever had, based off a poor move that the ownership has made.
Yeah.
Make a note of who the bad guys are coming out to be here. James Cooper, his card is marked. Don't ever trust a word he says as a fan.
Yeah. Graham Souness is the other one.
Graham Souness, 100%. I have another one. Perry Groves said that the fans today should be ashamed of themselves in Talk Sport today.
Oh, they talked about, yeah, I'm not surprised then.
Just mark their cards. All these folks mark the cards. Never listen to a thing they've said. Anytime they say if something happens again where it's the fans versus the ownership or anything really, if there's any big movement comes out and they start to be for the fans, just watch. They'll be straight back to the cash
Yeah.
guys. The Access Sky, when this all started coming out, Sky was all, oh, this is terrible. The fans, blah blah blah. Gary Neville was constantly on, boom boom, pushing that agenda. Then it's all died down a wee bit. Then this happens. Then Sky goes the other way. So with Sky's on the Sky website, they're constantly giving you updates of what's happening. And James Cooper had his quotes put on there 4 times. Potentially the same amount of Gary Neville. I'm just looking at it now. Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher and Souness. Why is he being pushed so much? And all of his statements, they have at least one inflammatory remark in there. There's something behind the scenes, and I'd like to know, and why it's so good to have you on, Rich, is I'm obviously biased on something like this because it's direct. As a United fan, I sat here. It takes me a while to set this up because I don't have a studio. I have to set this up every time I want to do something like this. And it takes me like an hour and a half to set things up, test it, get on early enough, hope for the to get on early enough to get the team sheets coming out, to have a bit of chat before, to let people come on, blah blah blah, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then to go through all that, and then the game doesn't happen, and then we're left in the lurch. So, as a United fan, I'm very emotionally attached to it and biased. But for a Palace fan or for any other team that wasn't, especially the teams that weren't part of this Big Six, how do you feel? I know you've already touched on it a bit, but how do you feel today? Do you think it's progressed the fans' power, or how do you think it potentially is going to be twisted and we're going to be in a worse position?
It's going to be a bit of both, and I think this is where there's going to be a bit of a tug of war here. And I implore all fans to just continue trying to stay together with this, because the moment this momentum stops, the media wins, the owners win. I fully understand your point of view. Obviously, it's a hard day's graft to get set up. Obviously, Manchester United is very, very high on your list of things, and especially against a game against Liverpool, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So even as a neutral, for me, there was aspects of disappointment in the game not being on, because I would have loved to see the game. But once again, it's looking at the bigger picture. I've grown up watching the Premier League for years, and the beauty of the integrity of it. And that's what's kept the Premier League pure. When you look at like the Bundesliga, unfortunately, you've got Bayern Munich, who's just steamrolling everyone, and then nitpicking the best players from the other teams to continue their dominance. In the Premier League, it is, especially with now the injection of money through like TV sources and stuff, it's brought about a sense of greater competition. And for that competition to be potentially ripped out, especially when, it sounds a bit mad as a Palace fan saying this, but West Ham, who are kind of like a London rival in a sense, but West Ham have worked their socks off to get into a position where they are now. And it's overshadowed now because of this. Leicester, once again, consolidating top 4. No one's going to care because of what's happened. But then you've got Arsenal and Tottenham, like 7th and 9th or something respectively, are getting traction and getting invited to a league just because of money and status. So obviously as a Palace fan, and obviously we've got aspirations to get better, but it's making me feel, okay, so what's our hope for the future then?
There's
And that
3-0 there for Spurs, just to butt in there, just to rub it in a wee bit.
no probs.
Your London
Ah,
rivalry.
yeah.
Yeah,
When it's
100%. I know what you're saying. Like it's crazy how everybody was just dashed aside, like they didn't mean anything. Yeah, all the investment, all the fans, just just thrown to the side like trash. It was crazy, and
yeah,
they should never be led away with it. And without today's events, it would look more that was going to be the case. But this is why today is so important, and the fans. I'm hearing that there was somebody who tried to stand in front of the Trinity statue today with one of the banners, obviously with the Jet stuff, and they were attacked. Basically, I won't go much further than that, but they were physically attacked to, to not be able to put their message across, and that's how scared these people are of what the fans can truly do.
yeah,
And we've shown it today, and it needs to continue. I know it's easy for me to say from 50 mile away or not, 200 mile away across the Irish Sea to be able to say something like this. But if I could have driven there today, I'd have been there.
yeah,
Obviously, with everything else that's going on, I couldn't. But I'm a million percent behind this. The day the ESL thing broke out, I was live at the show. It was Burnley, I think it wasn't it Burnley on the Sunday?
yeah,
I shut everything off and sorted things out. But as it was breaking, people, I don't think we all realised truly what was actually happening. And then it's really sunk into me. If this goes through, this is going to be crazy.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
they did this emotional video. It's on the channel. Go and check it out.
Yeah. And so it's a cut, bro. Just to touch on the media side that you asked about as well. Now it's funny how like let me throw Talksport out there. Talksport battered Robbie and technically all fan channels because they're here to make money, especially when they lose. Now,
as they're sitting there making a wage talking about football,
doing the same thing. Anyway, yeah. Now, fans have come into protest, and they've got a problem with ordinary fans now. So which one is it? Who actually is the problem? Are they a threat to your money-making scheme? The mainstream media need to catch up. They're so far behind. I've
It's the
noticed that
legacy
there's
fans.
been
The
so many
legacy,
issues.
the so-called legacy fans. That's who they're scared of. That's what the problem is. That's
Yeah.
that's who they get rid of.
And I've seen like over the year. I mean, I think Expressions has been on Sky Sports News. I believe Flex was on Sky Sports News, and they hate it because it's like, wait, why are they on there and not me? I'm an ex-player, or you know, I'm this well-known figure. No, times have changed. Get used to it. And less people are watching the likes of or listening to Talksport because they're jumping onto YouTube.
Yeah, like on a personal level, I can't remember the last time I watched Match of the Day, and that's not because Man United aren't overly entertaining, but it's because after the end of the game, during the game, if I'm not doing a watch along myself, I'll be listening to a watch along, or at the end of the game, I'll be listening to the film chats. I'll be listening to the player reviews and stuff. And then by the time I might be still watching that sort of stuff as Match of the Day's on, but at no point after all that am I thinking, flip out, I really want to watch Match of the Day and listen to Gary Bloody Lineker. No chance. I want to talk. It's like I think what's happened as well with all the lockdowns and stuff, when people want to hear more from and speak more directly to other people rather
Yeah.
than these big figureheads that just say what they're being paid to say.
Who hardly watch the game.
Exactly. It's just people that just want to have a real opinion at them.
Yeah.
That's why the fan channels have shut up so much, in my opinion. Especially because the real fans The fans that go to the games don't have that at the minute. So to try and replace that, they're going to other real fans. You
Yeah.
know, if they're not able, if before the pandemic, if they weren't able to go to a game, they wouldn't say, "Oh, it's all right. We'll just watch match of the day and listen to Alan Smith talk," or like what I mean. Like they're not excited about that.
Yeah.
But like, when you have like the big characters, like for example, how many people watch Arsenal fan TV that aren't Arsenal fans?
Oh,
It's because of the characters, and you can
yeah.
see that they're true football fans, and they have emotion, and that is why you had the likes of Rio Ferdinand and stuff being brought on to into the studios, and you were starting to see, like if you remember the whole if you remember it's famous now, but when United beat PSG and got a pen here, Rio was like, get the pen, get the check.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason you had the likes of that, and after that, you started seeing it coming out in social media, his reactions to the goals and stuff, and he was jumping up, screaming, and going, "Yes!" The reason you're seeing that now is because of the fan channel movements and the fact that YouTube and whatever has given fans the voice
Yeah.
to do that. But it's got to the point now where it's dangerous. The big production people, where it's
100%.
they're probably employing people. I say probably lightly. They're employing people to look at the statistics of the viewership when the big fan channels are on. The
Yeah.
likes of UTD Fan TV and the other big
Absolutely.
ones.
This is it. And when you look at it, there's probably a lot of fans who may have Sky on, but are listening to the commentary from a watch along.
Yep.
Because it's just more entertaining.
Yeah. As soon as 90 minutes hits, boom, it's off. They don't listen to the end of it. They'll maybe watch it. They'll maybe listen to it and watch it like I do the next day once it's uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah.
But they're straight on to something else that's something more fan related. They don't want to listen. I think potentially for the bigger games, and you've got the main, but not even then. No, I take that back. No, not even then. Like if I'm looking at it on a personal perspective, I'm always, I want to listen to somebody kind of like me that will chat about things kind of like me, even if they have different opinions on certain players. I don't want to listen to Sky Sports, and especially now after all this has gone on, everything's going to be fan driven, and they're frightened.
Yeah.
They're scared of it.
Absolutely
That's,
scared.
this we must have talked there for the last 10-15 minutes. This all brings it all the way back to what we started talking about, is James Cooper being pushed on Sky Sports, being all this anti-fan sentiment because they're scared. They had their
Yeah.
2 weeks there in the sun where they were the good guys. They're scared of what's going on. And James Cooper, he's pushing the agenda of the fans are the bad guys here. Look at what they've done. You're not able to watch this football. They're hooligans. They're criminals. What was it he said? Hold on, I've got my book of doom here. Perry Groves. Fans should be ashamed of themselves for protesting something. It's just crazy stuff. And we knew it would happen. I said it live again. I keep saying this. Just wait, it'll be twisted, and they'll turn us into the bad guys, and that's what it is. And that'll be the main topic of discussion over the next couple of days. Potentially longer will be, oh, look how terrible the fans were. Not why were the fans there? What was their main
Yeah,
argument?
what's the reason? Yeah.
What was the reason they're there? And that's all they want to be. So I just
But you know
implore
what? On that, like the likes of Talksport, in my opinion, they're gonna push out something that's just for clickbait, because no one's actually really going to want to listen to the views. So, like, what they'll do, especially on Twitter, because you can actually see the caption before you even click the video. They'll put like a controversial statement to make people click on the video. No one cares about what they think. They're so threatened. And now James Cooper, as I messaged in the during the watch along, like, he's obviously a Manchester United correspondent, so, and I know he works with Sky as well, so he's trying to save his job, really. And it's quite disappointing because I believe he supports Ipswich. So
I
for
think
someone, what's
I
it,
think it's
Southampton? Or am I thinking of someone else?
I think it's worse than that, Rich. I don't think he's trying to protect his job. I think he's being paid or forced to push this,
To push it.
put the pressure onto the fans. The fans' problem. It's not us. It's not the clubs. It's not the ESL thing. It's the fans. Get everything away from what the fans have done, and just to push it that way. It's really disheartening to see how quickly. I think everybody deep down would have known that Sky acting as the good guys would only last so long, but
Yeah.
how quickly they've gained.
Yep.
It just goes again to show that really that the fans really have a heck of a lot more power than previously was thought. Apparently, I heard that was talked about earlier today. Apparently, the Glazers were shocked and appalled by the reaction they got from the ESL.
Yeah, right.
How out of touch would
They
you
live
have?
under a rock.
But it's very, very possible. The non-apology that was given out was just clearly. I bet they didn't even put anything to that. Like it's just, I don't know. I'm losing the will to try and give people excuses for what's going on. And I think the thing that worries me the most is that it's not over. It's coming again.
Yeah.
Project Big Picture happened about 15 years ago. I think this field there'll be something else, and it won't be 15 years in the future. It'll be something else soon, and this is why it's so important at the minute for what's going on to continue. This can't stop today.
They cannot.
Things might look bad for the fans at the minute if you just look at the news. But if you've seen what happened, if you know anybody that was there, if you're speaking to anybody that was there, like I have, they've already spun it round. They're talking about, um, you know, they're speaking about it as if there was, violent acts for the fans to get on to the
Yeah.
United pitch today. That's not the way it happened. The doors were open for them to get onto the pitch, and then they opened another door for them to get out, and then they got out.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're hearing things like there was 8-year-old kids that were climbing up a wall and they were getting hit with bats by the police. 8-year-old kids because they were trying to get a ball back to the stadium.
And
It
this
was
is
just
why social media is beautiful, because the truth will come out. Because obviously the fans that were in there have evidence that it was peaceful. I think there was one flare and one can of beer and a tripod thrown. Apart from that, we had kicking about on the pitch. Someone did an overhead kick. You know.
But this is why they're so scared, Rich, because if there's the fan presence and the social media presence directly from the fans, they can't just decide what everybody sees.
Yeah.
And that's what scares them so much. Because if we're now here talking about my example and your example there, only because of social media, not because Sky showed us that.
No.
Sky were showing us. There was one point they were showing us a big overhead view of the police line that were pushing the fans out. You seen the bottles or the cups going flying over towards the police. You were seeing that, but you weren't seeing all the other things that there's video evidence of, and the fact, like you're saying, how it was just lighthearted stuff that they were doing on the pitch. It wasn't as if they went in there with like shovels and spades and they were digging up the pitch. And
yeah, exactly.
It was just, I don't know. And then obviously you're going to have with a group that size, you're going to have idiots that are doing stupid stuff. That goes without saying. And
yeah, exactly. With whatever protest you have or whatever something that's planned, there's always one bad apple, and it's not going to take everyone else. And I think the beauty, like I said, the beauty about the unity of the protests is that many of those who are on social media won't be fooled by what the mainstream media are trying to do. And that's why I say, listen, guys, keep pushing, because they'll buck under the pressure. There's too much of a force within
things, Rich. You just touched on it there about the bad apples, and it's really made me think about something. this these protests today have been planned for at least a week.
Yeah.
So, for one, anybody who wants to place a bad apple in there, the likes of the Sky Sports, the like of the Glazers, the like of the person that was employed by Man United as a social media person, like they were there to look after how good United look. They'll get somebody in there. They'll employ somebody to be that guy that was seen on Sky.
100%.
The guy sitting there with the bag, the Tesco bag that was full of beer, whatever it was. There's no way to know whether that did happen or not, but you've got to say it's a possibility. But not
Yeah.
only this protest was planned for say a week. I don't know exactly how long it is. Tell me this: why did it take them? It was about an hour and a half after kickoff before the police. They started showing the police arriving and
Yeah.
people out. Why were they not prepared? Like we heard, uh, I'd heard from early this morning that they have put up barriers around the Munich tunnel to reduce the space. Which again, you got to think, why are they doing that with COVID and all about? They're expecting people to come here. Why are they reducing the space? Surely they should be expanding it so people
Yeah.
could socially distance or whatever. But they put up little barriers, but they didn't think, should we have a police presence? Should we be prepared, perhaps?
Yeah.
Is this going to be a giant protest that has been broadcast all around the UK, and with the backdrop of a giant the petition that's already got over 100,000 signatures on it?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me they didn't think, maybe we should have a couple of police officers there? No.
Let me take this even further, Brad. The fact that a door was open. And then there's even a picture of a security guard. It looks like he's holding the gate open for the fans. And then let's look at the man that threw the tripod. There's a steward next to him. Surely he's got to do some sort of intervening.
I'm hesitant to say much about the stewards because they're just guys like you, and they've got themselves into this lovely lush position. They're probably out of fans themselves. They probably agree with what was going on.
Yeah.
They don't want to risk their job, or they don't want to risk getting battered by getting into a fight with a bunch of people that obviously all have the same motives. Um, it's the lack of the police presence that all of a sudden turned up, and it was one of James Cooper's. I'll actually see if I can find it here, right here in front of me. One of his quotes. This is at 5:30, so an hour after the game was supposed to kick off. There's a very different mood and atmosphere now outside Old Trafford after Greater Manchester Police moved in swiftly. So swift that they stopped these rioters, these rascals getting onto the pitch 2 hours after they arrived. The protests were scheduled to start at 2:30. The people were there before 2:30. So we were only seeing them getting escorted out at 5:30. Like if this had nothing to do with football, if you went online and organized just a piss up in a park, say right at 4:30 on Sunday, like it was today, we're all going to Regent's Park and we're all getting pished and cuddling and hugging and spreading COVID between us. The police, there would be more police than you've ever seen in your entire life. You wouldn't get near the place.
Absolutely.
But Old Trafford, on today, United versus Liverpool,
Of all games,
of potentially the biggest game in the world, with millions of eyes on it, no police.
No, it's mental.
They let it happen. And this is why it's so important for the fan channels, the big guys. I'm so new to this. I don't even know whether I can say their names or not. But you know the big guys.
Yeah.
Why it's so important that it needs to be carried on, and we need to make people aware that we can't just let the mainstream news, the way they twist things, you can't let that change your opinion on what happened today. I was devastated that I didn't get to see United versus Liverpool today. But at the same time, I'm so glad that this message will get so much bigger now because of it.
Yeah.
And I just hope it continues. And I
Because,
and I hope it continues when it comes to your club. If it comes to say Chelsea, you were playing Chelsea next week. If that was the case, and Chelsea fans come out and did the same thing, and the game got postponed, I'd be right
I'll
up
be,
there, hundred
I'll be,
percent.
the reason why I'm happy about today, it gives other clubs the same hope that, you know what, we could actually make an impact here and stop a game from going forward because we feel like we're being mistreated and misheard.
Yeah, I really hope that this pushes. Apparently, there are no further. Well, were before today, there were no other plans going forward to have any more protests or whatnot. Hopefully, that has changed things today because they've seen the actual power that they can have. Apparently, there's none of that. Hopefully, today will bring this back more into motion. But I hope that I hope, kind of going back on myself now because I don't want games to be postponed, but I want the fans' voices to be heard.
Yeah.
And the likes of the Chelsea one, their voices were heard last week. Apparently, the Tottenham one that's on the screen now, apparently theirs was a bit pathetic, but that's just let's just hope. Apparently, the Spanish contingent of fans, not they weren't overly upset about the ESL. Apparently, it was just the English clubs and the English clubs fan base
Yeah.
are the ones that are really nailing it. And let's just hope that, as I said to you before, this will come back. They will try this again. And let's just hope they stay strong. Right. Just looking to see here because there's something going on weird here with the. No, it should be fine. Yes. So, what do you think about Pink Fong?
About who?
Pink Fong,
I don't even know what that is.
the baby channel that's on behind you. I know all about.
That's
I
my
just,
daughter.
I just heard the wee.
I have no idea what that's. I was thinking, wait, what? She puts on whatever she wants. To be fair,
It goes. I know that Pink Fong. I know, as you say, you probably seen in the watch along earlier. Just same situation. So I know that thing just triggers in my head. Just looking back, our main friend James Cooper's quotes earlier, and I don't want to go on and read the whole quotes, but in each and every quote there was a small amount of there's something in there just to have a dig at the fans.
yeah,
The short one, 4:45, he comes up, he says, and not only that it's his quote, but Sky is taking this quote and putting it onto their website. It's very different the scenes outside Old Trafford right now. Greater Manchester Police have moved in effectively with numbers to clear the fans that were protesting outside the ground. Now, this is 4:45. The fans have been there from probably midday, but
yeah,
the protest was planned for 2:30. So, say it's 2:30. That's 3 hours. No, sorry, 2.25 hours. Bottles started to be thrown, and the mood was turning quite ugly. The police were under attack by some fans who were protesting and decided enough was enough and decided to move in. We saw the horses move in, and there were great numbers of police who managed to clear the entire forecourt in a matter of minutes. So why didn't they do it hours before and let the football go ahead? It was a very different protest to the one that was envisaged earlier in the day. We saw, but here, the people that were advertising this protest were saying it loud and clear. And again, I don't know whether I can name the people. They were saying this is huge, this is organized, this may be disruptive, this is going to be massive. Now, I'm telling my 1 million subscribers, we've got the big wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but the police
Yeah,
don't. We saw a lot of young United fans protesting, break into the stadium, take penalties on the football pitch, ruin concert equipment as well. Fan base, while being fairly anti-Glazers, are a very fractured fan base.
see, trying to spin that,
Right at the
bring
end, the very
trying to
last,
bring division.
this is it. So that doesn't even make sense in the what he's talking about. We saw the horses move in, great numbers of police, forecourt cleared, different protests to what we were envisaging. We saw fans protesting, break inside the stadium, take penalties, and then there's a full stop. The fan base, while being fairly anti-Glazers, are a very fractured fan base. How? What? Where's the relation to what we're just talking about? It's
That
crazy.
had zero context.
No, that was just there's here's a wee bit of division there. If you read that, or you were maybe I don't know whether he said that out loud and that's been put out on a transcript. Maybe somebody's typed that down wrong, or whether was a Twitter post that he put out and they just moved it over. But that makes no sense whatsoever. It's not even a different paragraph. It's right at the end of describing what happened, and then the fan base, and I mentioned this while live and seeing it, the fan base, while being fairly anti-Glazers, I've only just noticed that, fairly anti-Glazers. you speak to a United fan, you go, what do you think about the Glazers? You go, take them or leave them. Don't really care, to be honest. All right, don't bother me. No, they're not great, but fairly anti-Glazers are a very fractured fan base. I don't know any true fan, that's not somebody that's connected to Sky, connected to BT, connected to Adidas, connected to bloody anything, that has anything bad to say about what the fans did today.
No.
Everybody is united. You see the odd person going, "Oh, these people are scum. I wanted to watch football today," which is just natural. And I felt there's a bit of me feels like that, but the other part of me is going, right, well, this is obviously long term. This is good. Apart from that, there's nobody disagreeing with what's happened today. If the game went ahead, if the police were there like they should have been, and it wasn't allowed to go to the degree that it went to, and the match went ahead, maybe not. The fan base would be 1,000,000% all for what happened. We're not going to see it now, but in the past, with the last protest that was you had David Beckham wearing the green and gold scarves. You had the closest we have to that now is Gary Neville, and it seems to me Gary Neville is just the good cop and the good cop bad cop situation that's going on with Sky Sports News and how they're trying to spin things. But I mentioned this during the show earlier. I've done a research there, and they've put out 4 quotations from James Cooper, and they're all sizable ones. I don't really want to read them all, but in every single one of them, there's something like that one I mentioned to you. The fan base are fractured. Doesn't make sense. Where does that come from? I'm just
even his last sentence on that. What was it saying? Even though the anti-Glazers, it's kind of like trying to push out like an Ollie out agenda again, Ollie in, Ollie out agenda, and just twist everything to something that's not relevant at this moment in time. My guy, bye.
There was no chicken wings thrown. No, you can't waste them. Why would you waste them and throw them at the police? We'll not have any anti-police agenda. That's not what this is about. It's not about anti-police. It's just this was organized. There's some weird stuff going on in the background here. Why was the actual protests have been organized for over a week? It's been widely advertised on public forums with millions of views, millions of subscribers. and there's no police there, and it's let to go on for hours and hours until the point where the game isn't feasible to go ahead. They let it happen, and they let it happen, and they let all the bad stuff come out, and they push the bad stuff. You get James Cooper coming out saying all these terrible things. He's like, normal, 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 normal. Yeah, I can agree with that. The fan base is this, and it's the fans' fault. And you go, if you're really looking at what they're saying, it's craziness. But I keep saying, and if you watch this and you take away anything from what we're saying here, just make a note of these individuals, the likes of James Cooper, who we've discussed, Perry Groves, Ray Parler. I haven't heard anything from him today, but that
He'll say something.
last week, he will say something. But even regardless if he says something today, mark his card for what he did with Robbie Lyle last week. Made himself look like an absolute idiot, to the point where his colleagues were coming out against him and backing Robbie Lyle. He did it so horribly wrong and so stupidly. And who was it? There was somebody else.
Soonest, yeah.
Mark all their cards. Next time something like this happens, just go, I remember him. I always seen James Cooper going on to I think he did a good few interviews with some of the fan channels, and he was coming on talking about transfers, and he seemed likable and seemed happy enough, decent guy.
Yeah.
But today, basically, when I was doing the watch along earlier, it was just like trying to find something to talk about and trying to be just basically trying to be there once, because I'm just here, and I said it a couple of times. I'm trying to sit here, and if we get an update of when the match starts, probably just end the stream. We'll come back and watch the game.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly searching, I'm refreshing, waiting for stuff to come up, and it was just nonsense after nonsense after nonsense, and all things aimed against the fans. I'm trying to see that there was one here that they I think even Sky Sports were struggling for things to say, because they come out with one, and it was Gary Neville, and it was Dash. This is a direct result of the ESL last week. Yes, of course. Yes. Mm-hmm. And is there more of that?
It's 16 years worth. 16 years worth.
I'm looking at here now. One of the positives out of today has been the fact that the Guy Neville and Jamie Carragher have stuck their guns on these things, even though they are Sky Sports One. But again, it's a situation where it's good cop, bad cop. And they're coming out at 4:04. They released Michael Oliver taking a photo, and here's the whole this big statement that, well, not statement, but the post is, here is the match referee Michael Oliver at Old Trafford soaking up the atmosphere. Not so we're speaking to Bob live at Old Trafford. Here's what he's got to say about what's going on today. There's no direct quotes here from the people that were there. It's all just Jimmy Carragher says this, Gary Neville says this, Souness says this. All like
yeah, you would have thought they would have tried to interview one of the fans.
Yeah, they don't want to know. They don't want to know what the actual fans want to say. What do you think about the fact that it was actually delayed and not just postponed? I mean, not just delayed to later on in the day. Do you think that was all planned?
They've got to make it look as if they want it to happen, basically. I have an inkling, and it's just my own personal view, that they knew this protest was happening. They said, don't have any police presence there. Let's just see how this pans out and use this to taint the fans. And it will make the owners look a bit better.
I don't know. I don't know whether I can agree with you, because this does not make the Glazers look any better whatsoever. In my
No,
opinion,
not saying it does, but I'm thinking of like a club
that's
looking down
yeah,
that
yeah.
in that sense, because it makes no sense that there was no police at the biggest game in club football. I would say makes no sense that none of the fans were interviewed. Makes no sense that the fans got into the ground very easily.
Big one.
A lot of things don't add up, So
It doesn't make sense, and it does. It makes sense if you look at it from their perspective. What can we do to make this? Do you know? It's probably just it's the least bad thing that could have came today for the Glazers. Perhaps I think maybe that's the best way of phrasing it. It's not the way they could look the best. It's the way they could look the least worst.
West, yeah,
It was going to happen anyway. The protest was going to happen anyway, but they thought, do we attack the fans? Do we start with a giant police, like a big line of them, all in rat gear, ready for them for like a scene out of what do you call that? The Scottish one, Braveheart, like a scene out of Braveheart. All the police there, and then they charge at each other at 2:30 when the protest started. Or we'll just go, right, we'll let them in. We'll we'll let Sky Sports get footage of them acting like idiots inside. We'll get footage of things being thrown, because that's going to happen. We'll get focus on the idiots out there. Keep the cameras away from any police incidents, anything that doesn't look good.
yeah.
Spin this as much as possible. Spin it, spin it, spin it. Sky Sports, spin it. And it's, as I said before, it's disheartening how quickly the likes of Sky Sports jumped off the anti-Glazer, anti-Dirty Dozen, as they're calling it now. How quickly they jumped away from them, back onto the fans. Yeah, these guys already. It's like the only people you're seeing say anything bad or anything positive about what happened today is the Neville and the. I'm trying to read it as I'm talking. As the Neville and the whatchamacall him, the Scouser. Carragher, yeah. The good cops on this. And I really hope. I feel bad even phrasing it like that, like they're the good cops compared to the bad cops. I think maybe they're just sort of stuck in a bad position. But they've got to have them. They're saying one side of it to make themselves look somewhat balanced. But the very fact they're putting out nonsense statements like we had from James Cooper. Let me read the statement or the sentence again. The most ridiculous one. Where was it? Actually, one of the most. You've got to work out whether this is a progressive move or whether it's fan power going crazy. When I read that, I thought, you're really dicing with fire there. Like, to me, and I'm not somebody who's there today. To me, reading that's very inflammatory. That's a direct attack on fans. Because he's basically saying, have they got too much power here? Do we need to reel these guys in a wee bit? Are they getting a wee bit too big for their boots? And that, as a supposedly unbiased Sky Sports pundit or whatever you want to call them, that's a very dangerous thing to say. And they didn't care. They just copied it, pasted it, typed it out, put it on their website. No problem at all. Don't see any issues with that. We're expecting actually to see some sort of news tonight in regards to when the game's going to be played again, because obviously the schedule for matches at the minute is it's full at the minute. When are they going to play it? I was like, I was expecting them. I don't know how really it works, whether it's possible. I was expecting them, they might say, we'll play it tomorrow. Get the police out this time. Make sure there's nobody at the stadium.
Yeah, because the Champions League game was it PSG versus Istanbul. After the racism incident, they just replayed it the next day. So I'm sure it's possible, but nothing's come out yet. So
it might be interesting to see when the Liverpool. I know United play on Thursday. It'd be interesting to see when Liverpool play again. Maybe that's something that's See if we can have a look now. Maybe that's something that may delay things. Do they play on Wednesday or I wouldn't imagine so. No, they don't play to the 8th. Oh no, that's just live on Sky. No, they don't play to the 8th, so there's no reason why it can't be played very soon. Man United don't play to Thursday, so there's a decent enough gap there, and at the end, at the very worst, they could play on Tuesday. You know, they do it at like Boxing Day and New Year's Day and things like
Yeah.
that. Games 2 days apart, so there's no reason why they couldn't for this. I seen somebody put on a chat on the watch along earlier about apparently Man United are going to face a massive penalty for what occurred today. The players or the fans getting onto the pitch. There's been a from Bruno Fernandes saying he's going to take it.
Yeah, actually, I did see that.
But yeah, no, I was expecting to see some sort of discussion about it. There's nothing, even on Sky Sports. There's been no stupid takes from our main man Cooper. Hold on, I need to find this quote about do this, and then we'll call it a day. Where is it? Talk amongst yourselves. Yes, that's it here. James Cooper again, our main man. The mood has turned very ugly, but the club staff are out in force to make sure the forecourt is made safe. Full stop. Without two teams, you can't have a football match.
Such a Michael Owen quote there.
This is what time is this? Was at 5:30. This was this was the last thing they put on before they announced the postponement. So this is the height of everybody's going, what's going on? Are we playing? What's happening here? You know, there's going to be sanctions. What's going on? This is crazy. And then you've got James Cooper going, without two teams, you can't have a football match. That's crazy. Like, you're on Sky Sport. You're supposed to be like the best of the best. It makes it a wee bit. That's not the end of the sentence. To be fair to him, it makes it. It says, but equally without a secure stadium, that becomes difficult as well. What is that statement? What is that sentence? The point of it being that I'm trying to make is the only point that they're interested in is getting a bit of a dig in to the fans about what happened today. The worst one, I'll find it and we'll end it at that. The one I said before was the one that was the very last sentence of the very first quote that he put up. You've got to work out whether this is a progressive move or whether it's fan power gone crazy. That is a statement while what was going on is incredible. That's huge to say something.
Ridiculous comment to make.
Perhaps in a week's time when things have calmed down and whatnot, but in the midst of it, to say, is this fan power gone crazy? Are these fans who love their club so much going to this degree just to get a voice, just to be heard? Is that too much? And then the very next one was, while being fairly anti-Glazers are a very fractured fan base. That's one after the other.
That's the one. The fractured fan base. I was just like, that is a low blow.
But no, it's not even. I disagree. That's not even a low blow. It's trying for a low blow and just pops through the legs. It's a complete miss. It's at no point of the discussion from anyone was it about this is just a small contingent of Man United fans that have done this today, or this is a small splinter group, or most fans don't believe this. There's been no fan group that has disavowed what's happened today.
Yeah.
Everybody,
it was a united front.
Yeah, everybody's united on this. including fans that aren't United fans. To come out and say something like that is either just pure stupidity or part of the ulterior motive that we've discussed.
Yeah, and even on that, I think in last week's protest, I'm sure I saw an Arsenal fan travel up.
Yeah,
which says it all.
There was photos of people there in Chelsea football tops and stuff. I take notice of that because some of the greater family are Chelsea fans, unfortunately. So that, but yeah, so all football fans are united in their hate for the ownerships, and let's just hope it continues. Rich, we'll call it a day at that.
No problems.
It's been great to chat to you again. I think there's possibly been something's went wrong with the stream, but we're still live, so it'll be grand. And
thanks for having me on, and hopefully the fans continue to put in the pressure on.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
No probs. Have a good one, brothers.